Guys, welcome to the second edition of Right Here Right DAO. My name is Bharat. I run DAO partnerships here at Arbitrum, and the reason we started this show is to get the word out about DAOs on Layer 2. Layer 2 and Arbitrum specifically has been such a great design space for Layer 2 because of the fees are so cheap. I think for a simple transfer of tokens right now in Arbitrum, it's about 2 cents or something like that. So being able to be on chain is really possible as a DAO. Whether it's doing on chain voting, treasury management, distributing NFTs to your entire DAO, it's just so much cheaper to do that on Arbitrum, and really just creates this inclusive environment to grow your DAO to the next 10,000, 100,000 million people. So I'm really getting the word out about that. I'm kind of our DAO evangelist. So really excited to be chatting with some of Arbitrum's best DAOs. And today we have Layer2DAO, which I'm really excited for. They've been kind of pioneers in the space about, accelerating Layer 2 adoption, and have some really cool stuff in the works, and have been just really great for the Arbitrum community. So would love for you guys to do a quick intro about yourselves and what you guys are doing at Layer2DAO.
Awesome. Thank you, Bharat. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
I'm Exis here. I'm one of the co-founders of Layer2DAO. We started the project a little over a year ago. I'm a Ethereum maxi at heart, decentralization maxi, and I really believe heavily in Web3. And one of the reasons I started Layer2DAO was because I just didn't see a future without Layer 2 for the Ethereum ecosystem. So that's really a driving force for me, and we'll jump into that a little more. But that's why I'm here.
Awesome. To jump on that, I'll say I'm the same, all the same stuff. And the only thing I'd add is, personally, I am also very excited, Brad, as you mentioned, for DAOs in the future. I think that the trend for remote work and DAOs will be, kind of an unstoppable thing going forward into 2023 and beyond. So at L2DAO, we're just excited to be a part of that and want to help form that in the best way possible.
Sweet. Yeah, great to know. And I think for some of our Arbitrum community, which isn't familiar with what you guys do at Layer2DAO, could you guys just give a quick primer on why you got started and what your operations look like today?
Yeah, so we got started a little over a year ago with the idea of Layer2DAO. At the time, the Layer 2 ecosystem was still far behind of where we are today. So 2022 really has been amazing, even though we haven't had like the single moment that was like the defining moment for the Layer 2 ecosystem. We've come so far in 2022. So that meme L2 22 really has rung true, and I'm pretty excited about where we've gotten this year alone. But a year ago, that was not the case. A year ago, everything was in its infancy, and particularly the different networks were all working on their own, kind of in their own little bubble. Arbitrum was an early leader in the ecosystem, which was awesome. But we didn't see a coordination. We didn't see a home for the community across these different ecosystems, and that's where the idea of Layer 2 came up. We didn't see a cohesive push of this ecosystem. Every network was kind of working on its own, promoting itself. But as decentralization maxis and Ethereum maxis, we were really gung-ho on promoting all networks. We approach it as a rising tide lifts all boats. So we want to make sure that we provide broad exposure to all players in the ecosystem, do projects on different networks, and give people that are passionate about Layer 2, like us, a home to talk about everything Layer 2. About the new networks, existing networks, protocols that are moving over, pros and cons of different networks and protocols, and that's what we've created. So we launched a token in end of January through an airdrop as well. The airdrop ran for about 30 days. The idea was rewarding the earliest of adopters of the Layer 2 networks. So we gave everybody that participated in the top 10 L2 networks by TVL at the time an airdrop. If you were active in one network, you got an 1x airdrop. If you were active in 6 networks, you got a 6x airdrop. And we had some people, we didn't have somebody who participated in all 10 networks, but we'd have several people that had actually used their wallets on 9 out of the 10 top 10 L2 networks last year, which was amazing. So those are the real
That's
hardcore
remarkable.
maxis.
Like thinking about that now, like a year ago that you'd already used 9 of 10 L2 networks, and now where we are today, like, just so much progress. But like you said, I mean, there's so much to do as well in terms of kind of like where we're focused at L2DAO, and like, so it's really great that I think attention is kind of shifting in large part to DAOs and the importance of that. So because it's something that that we're focused on constantly, and like getting the infrastructure for a DAO to operate on layer 2 hasn't always been the easiest thing that we're trying to accelerate that and push that so that DAOs from anywhere can get moving, get operating on a platform like Arbitrum, where it's much lower cost, so you can have much more people, 1 million people onboarded.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think like that point about infrastructure is so key because, mainnet DAOs, which, are most of them, want to be in a low fee environment, but they want to make sure that their favorite tools are still usable and, have integrations with some of these other environments. So that's been a big part of my efforts this year is making sure, the big tools, like the Gnosis safes of the world, but also like, Snapshot, Tally, Wonderverse, Utopia Labs, things like that are all integrated onto Arbitrum just so it's a seamless transition. So definitely hear you on the infrastructure. And now, people like you guys are really banging the drum on like, hey, the infrastructure is here. Let's actually do DAO operations here. So would love to hear about DAO operations you guys have on Arbitrum today, and why it made sense to you to have DAO operations or any part of L2 DAO on Arbitrum.
XO, you want to lead?
Yeah. But I mean, when we launched in January, it was pretty rough, to be honest. A lot of tooling did not exist. We ran to roadblocks left and right, and so much has progressed over the last year. It's been really great, and we really tried to elevate the tools that do make the effort to expand to Arbitrum and other L2s. Early on, one of the first DAO tools that we adopted on L2 was Wonderverse, a really useful tool for DAOs to provide a Trello style task manager for the community with token gating. It's basically like Trello for the blockchain. It's a fantastic tool. We use it heavily for bounties and bounty management. So they're a great tool. They were one of the first movers into the space. Another one, you mentioned Utopia. Utopia is super useful. We use it for running payroll. It's makes everyone's life so much easier. And I think yesterday you guys were talking Hedgie, Bond Protocol. You talked about Bond. You talked to them yesterday. Of course, the Olympus DAO spinoff, super useful to have for any DAO or protocol on L2s. Hedgie, great tool. They allow token swaps, DAO to DAO token swaps, P2P sales, and all through an NFT mechanism, which adds a really fun component, because every time you send somebody some locked tokens, you get an NFT minted that has a really fun PFP built into it. But to get your tokens back, you got to burn the PFP. So it's a fun, it's a little gamification of tying into NFT PFPs. So it's a really fun tool. They've been a great partner. We've helped them test some of their newer rollouts of features, and they've been super adaptive to our needs. And that's kind of part of what we do too. We work with protocols that are rolling out on Arbitrum to be that early test partner. So we're not afraid to be the first user and deal with bugs and issues and work through that. And that's just something we accept as for many protocols, the first partner on a layer 2. And we're always happy to provide them feedback and help them grow and help them with that transition.
Yeah, we'll be the guinea pigs for people to test stuff out on. I think that you probably know this already, Rob, but like with Hedgie, for instance, they helped us facilitate the first DAO swap on L2 on Arbitrum with partner Sperax like 3 months ago now, I think. So that was just so awesome to be a part of, like for both the protocols, but just to do it on layer 2, I think was a really defining moment, I think, for progress, because it just opens up so much possibility for DAOs. Like you said, to get their stuff on L2s and be like, hey, these other teams are doing it. Maybe it's time to consider moving.
Yeah. In the spirit of Christmas, we just went through the nice list. Let's go through the naughty lists too as well. I have some protocols who I have some beef with that they have not added support for Arbitrum. At the top, NASA is safe. Still no testnet support on Arbitrum. It's really hard to do development on testnet, particularly if multi-sigs are involved, if you don't have testnet support on Arbitrum. So that we've been running into that as a limitation. Another big one, Graph. Come on, guys. I just, I saw that they have finally on their 2023 roadmap that they are moving operations to Arbitrum, but right now you can only use the Graph on mainnet. Big limitation for protocols trying to make the shift over to L2s. So I really hope they get on that.
Yeah. I mean, we're in touch with those two teams, and they're really great, and they're obviously pretty swamped behind the scenes, but those are really strong partners of ours. So we're definitely hoping to expand some support. But I think Gnosis has been like a really great integration for Arbitrum One mainnet, and I think potentially some cool stuff rolling out on Nova in the near future. So that could be cool. But yeah, so
Sure.
in terms of what you guys mentioned with Hedgie, it's really exciting to see what Hedgie's doing in the space. And just some quick background, Hedgie is facilitating a lot of these DAO to DAO relationships and partnerships, and they're kind of one of the more forward thinking teams when it comes to like this merger and acquisition space, almost where like you're tying together the future of two DAOs in a way that actually makes sense for like long-term development of both of the DAOs. You're not just immediately dumping governance tokens, right? You are actually strategically aligning with another DAO and kind of gamifying it as well through NFTs. So I would definitely encourage the audience to check out Hedgie Finance. Their team is really strong, and we love that they're really Arbitrum forward thinking as well.
Yeah, and just to kind of echo that, the notion of being able to do a permissionless DAO to DAO swap with any protocol that you want to align with and kind of set the terms, it really opens up a lot of potential for every party involved, right? Like, for instance, with Sperax, we know the terms exactly of our deal, where our protocols are aligned, and it's turned into a great flourishing partnership because of that. So yeah, couldn't agree more.
Sweet. I think it would be really helpful to hear about some of the pros and cons of running a DAO today. I mean, this could be specifically on Arbitrum, but obviously we're in a point in the market where a lot of the curious people have started to maybe become disillusioned with the space. So I understand that might create some churn with the DAOs, but I think the people on the space today, or the people still in tune, are really just diehard believers in DAO structures and crypto in general and decentralization. So in a way, it could be a pro and con of having some people leave and the kind of the real ones stay. But outside of that, what are some of the pros and cons of running a DAO today? What are some of the fun stuff and some of the challenges you guys are facing?
So one thing that's go ahead, Weston.
I was just going to say, sometimes I feel like it helps to in our community. By the way, if you haven't joined, we have a pretty active and fun Discord. You just Discord /Layer2DAO, join us. But I shared this morning, right before we hopped on here, like an article that Vitalik published maybe 3 months ago about DAOs, and I think it was actually like one that he had published 2 years ago, but updated or something like that. But he just kind of over the overview of DAOs and why and why they're important and why they're still going to be a part of the future, kind of like I was alluding to with the transition to remote workforce. So there are cons for sure that we can get into, and there are challenges and lots of roadblocks, like a big one being that we were just discussing yesterday, like figuring out the best way to contributor compensation, right? Like still a problem that is not solved, and or not ideal, I should say. And so that's something that we're working on constantly, right? Attracting new talent for different types of roles, right? There's so many people that want to contribute in the space, but how do you get them set up and configured in a DAO? where they want to contribute, whether it's development, whether it's graphic design or making YouTube videos or content. Those kind of things are where we're really focused. But that's what also makes us kind of unique in the sense of like being this DAO, that's really embodies the word DAO. That's what we're trying to do.
For me, one of the things that I'm closely watching, and a part of our process as a DAO for us as well, is how does our DAO translate to the real world and laws around the world. So we've seen progress, a lot of progress as far as how DAOs can incorporate in the real world. Ideally, I think all of us as decentralization maxis would prefer DAOs to simply live on Web3 and not have to have a real world presence. This year we also saw that governments are not shy coming after DAOs. I think the EP2 lawsuit was a big wake up call for people that the U.S. government is not shy. They'll come after you and they will fuck your shit up because they are ruthless. And so they, as a DAO, there's a real legal obligation to be responsible to the real world implications of what we do. And so we're going through the incorporation process right now. And for a lot of jurisdictions around the world where DAOs incorporate, the incorporation is not decentralized. There's a board of directors, there's agents. It's not governed by the blockchain the way it's intended to be. And we're starting to see progress in different jurisdictions towards true decentralization, where the blockchain contract address that runs the governance is written into the incorporation articles, stuff like that. So great to see the progress.
Which is exciting.
Still a lot of work to do, still a lot of unknowns and uncertainty as this plays out. We got to keep in mind that the U.S. government came after EP2 5 years later, so we don't know what we do today, how that's going to be perceived by some other government around the world 5 years from now. So we got to be really forward thinking in the DAO space, protecting the organization, protecting our members and our assets, and really thinking things through. So that's one thing that we're working through right now ourselves.
Yeah, makes sense. And for some of our listeners who haven't been keeping up with the UkiDAO stuff, would you guys mind giving a quick TLDR of what's been happening with them in regulation?
Yeah,
just I was going to say,
go ahead.
Well, there's actually been a few DAOs that I think to expand on Exo's point that this is a great topic. Yeah, no, go ahead, Exo. I mean, it's a great topic because it's important, and I think that there are ways that you can address it though correctly. By being just kind of doing your homework and being well intentioned and doing all the right things to support decentralization. Keyword being decentralization.
Yeah, the way governments are starting to look at truly decentralized DAOs is that because there's no central entity, they by default look at it as a general partnership. And in general partnerships, every single stakeholder, token holder in this case, is a general partner and is liable for what the DAO does. And so in the UkiDAO case, the government went into the chatbot on the UkiDAO website and served them the entire DAO, basically the files for a lawsuit that they're coming after them. And with that, they suspected that, hey, now we've served notice to every single token holder of UkiDAO, and they're all liable, and we can come after all of them. And so nobody thought that was possible. Nobody thought a government would actually go that far. And then it happened. And now we're like, well, crap. How do we as a DAO make sure that doesn't happen to us in a few years? And one of the beautiful things of DAOs is it's a great experimentation space. Like when we started Layer 2 DAO, we didn't know if we were going to get traction, if we we're going to grow. And if it, for a traditional business in the real world, you have to go through a lot of hoops when you start up the business. Right out of the gate, you got to deal with trademarks, maybe even patents and incorporation and all this bureaucracy to make sure that your business is set up. With DAOs, you can start it up, you can see if it gets traction, and if it doesn't, and if it fails, no government is going to come after you. But you had a shot at it. That's the approach we took. And now that we've had success and we're generating revenue and we have token holders who are getting revenue shares, we're like, okay, we got to now go through the road and protect ourselves and our members and our assets. So it creates a little bit of this gray area of experimentation space that the real world is a little harder to replicate in the real world, and that's wonderful. But on the flip side, there's all this gray area also creates unknowns that we have to deal with as a community.
That we'd like to learn from and then share to every other DAO as well. That, you know, in particular, there's lots of DeFi protocols, NFTs that are, you know, also DAOs technically. You know, but we can learn a lot and share that information, I feel like, and be helpful to the ecosystem at large as well.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think like framing it as a learning experience is so important because like you said, regulation is coming and it doesn't have to be a death sentence. It can actually be a way to like do this and like structure DAOs for mass adoption in a way where, you know, there's actually frameworks and people aren't like experimentation is really great, but I think having some sort of structure and, you know, good way and like correct way of doing things would actually be really helpful for the entire space. So
100%.
yeah, totally agree there, and you know, hopefully there's a good like resolution to everything that's happening with Uki. But yeah, appreciate the color there. Um, you guys mentioned some ways to get active, you know, in the L2DAO community today. You know, like joining the Twitter, joining the Discord. But you guys actually have some other like pretty cool stuff as well. I know you guys have you know, your own domains on your website, and potentially there's like NFTs involved as well. But would love for you guys to go into what are some ways our Arbitrum users and the people in this space can get involved with L2DAO's community today.
Yeah, first of all, if you are passionate about layer 2 networks in general, join our Discord. You can find, you know, our website is layer2dao.org or discord.gg/layer2dao, and just be part of the community and discuss everything layer 2 DAO. We are going to so one thing you should know about us is we love NFTs as a gateway into Web3, and particularly on layer 2s where you can mint an NFT for a couple of cents as opposed to investing $5 to $10 US dollars on low gas days or hundreds of dollars on high gas days on mainnet. So it makes the entry level into Web3 community and Web3 NFT way more affordable for a larger part of the world's population. So we love using NFTs. So we're actually gonna have an NFT reward available for everybody on this Twitter space. A few stipulations. We use outside protocols. In this case, we're going to use Galaxy. Galaxy does require that you are listening to this for 15 minutes on your mobile device. So if you're on your mobile device and you've listened to us so far, you will be able to mint this. We're going to announce that later on our Discord, and it's going to be a celebratory NFT, just a little collectible for everybody that was on this.
Right here, right DAO.
Right here, right DAO. That's right. So look out for that.
So yeah, like to kind of jump on piggyback on that, you know, brought NFTs we've found have been like, I don't know, people just love NFTs, you know, simple as that, collectible or otherwise. And so that's been a great way to boost engagement. Things like that, you know, tied to specific tasks or activities. So yeah, like I would expect that once we launch that on Galaxy, that will, we've already actually created the NFT contract. It's deployed. It's live on Arbitrum. So you know, we just have to get the credentials then of the people who've been in the space, and then can make it eligible to be claimed. But those are great things for getting people on board, and then it's about, you know, just figuring out, okay, what do you want to learn? Where, you know, here are the updates. What do you want to do? But there's also utility that can be tied in, you know, kind of from DeFi, NFTs, DAOs, which we kind of check all three boxes, really, I guess, with our primary staking program of the token. You know, there's like several facets to Layer2 DAO, but you know, we launched XL2 DAO staking about 3 months ago. I think October, first week of October. So yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that, XO. I hit on that, but I mean that's probably the most unique, like, innovation that we've launched in terms of like layer 2 NFT utility. But
Yeah. Well, I should talk a little bit about our mission as a DAO. Is we talked heavily about promoting layer 2 networks, building community around layer 2 networks. That's one half. The other half is that we actually, through the DAO and through our token, are building in a diversified investment vehicle into the layer 2 ecosystem. So we're doing a lot of token swaps. We're doing a lot of investments. We're getting in at the ground level in new protocols and getting in on their token. So we're really building a really diversified portfolio of L2 protocol investments that generate revenue, and that revenue we pay out to people that stake our token using the voting escrow, the curve token model on Arbitrum. And so we launched this 11 weeks ago. We've generated almost 100 ETH as a DAO. 50% of that gets paid out to stakers and people that own our L2 State of Mind NFT. So it's a great way to get exposure to the growth of the L2 ecosystem without having to go out and buying a bunch of individual tokens yourself, and get access to different protocols at the ground level. For example, there's a protocol launching on Velo next month that we're going to be doing a private sale with before the public can. So we're going to be getting a really good deal for our DAO, and there's going to be extra revenue involved. Things like that the general public would not be able to access.
That's really, really exciting. I think you guys have mentioned like a few really exciting ways to get involved, and I think something that I'm just hearing from your voice and just generally talking to the Arbitrum community is like people are just really fired up about talking to other projects and getting involved with other projects in the Arbitrum ecosystem. It really reminds me a lot of what Ethereum was like in 2018, 2019, where it was a lot of bootstrap protocols, but what we did have, or what Ethereum had back then, was like excited users. And I think Arbitrum really has excited users right now. And some of the stuff you guys are talking about, like NFTs, it's so true about NFTs, because I think last year a lot of the discourse around NFTs was about see really awesome to see your NFTs go up and sad to see them go down. But like, I think just collecting NFTs as a proof of being active in a community is enough utility in its own. And it's
Yes.
almost like collecting swag from different conferences, or buying, or like getting souvenirs when you travel. It's not about the speculation. If it goes up, that's great, but you're kind of just proving that you are an active member of this space. It's like the way you would have like karma points on Reddit or something like that. You're like, hey, listen, I can prove that I've been in the Arbitrum community for a while because I was on that Right Here Right DAO space back in 2022 when 80% of the people left. So it's really cool what you guys are doing, and it's really appreciated.
Value doesn't have to be strictly financial, right?
Yep.
Like, if that's kind of how I interpret what you mean. It's like, like I don't think I would value that for the sake of there's a word I was looking for, but like just a sentimental value of something. Like, yeah, I was on that space. That's super cool. Like, and like you said, if it goes up in value, sweet. But I just want to keep it for fun, and having that enabled on L2, where it, it'll cost three pennies to mint versus, again, $5. And you think about some people are like, well, okay, $5. What's the difference? Well, that actually that does matter a lot, and it matters a lot because if you look at the global economy, which we're trying to do with Web3, certain people who really want to expand this globally, every penny, crunching the call data, right? Lowering the costs, every penny matters to getting access to more people. So that's why L2s and Arbitrum, that's why it's so big for adoption.
Yep.
Yeah.
100.
But so one thing that's really interesting, because we do have demographic data for our DAO roughly, and we see a big amount of people from non-Western countries, people that typically would have been priced out of the Ethereum ecosystem, and that would have spent time on Polygon or Shriek BSC, are now coming into the Ethereum ecosystem because they can participate and do transactions and are not priced out anymore. So we are as an L2 community, unlocking secure, decentralized blockchain transactions to the world community that previously was not possible. So this is really huge.
Yep, absolutely. And I know we're at time here, and I think this is probably a really good place to end because it's kind of an uplifting and exciting note. So, just really wanted to appreciate. I really wanted to thank you guys for jumping on the space today and educating people about why it's important to get involved with L2. I think we hit on some cool stuff like the inclusivity of Arbitrum, but also like just boosting the adoption of L2 is so important. Whether it's for the DAO or just the entire crypto space in general. Any parting thoughts that you want to leave the audience with?
I'd just say, don't be bummed out about the current price action that you're seeing in the crypto markets. If it's something that you really value, to me at least, the trend of Web3, the trend of DAOs and decentralization, it's kind of on an unstoppable path at this point, like the internet. And there's this new paradigm that has come into place, and it's going to continue. And L2DAO, intends to continue at the forefront of that at places like Arbitrum. So we're excited to see the constant development. And super grateful to have been on here. So thanks, Parad, for joining, for letting us join.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yep, of course. Cool, guys. Well, yeah, appreciate you coming on, and thank you all so much to the audience members for joining the space. Really appreciate it. There's a few hundred of you on the audience, and I think Weston and Exosphere, if you can just let them know about the Galaxy NFT, would they just join your Discord for that information?
That's right. So we're going to announce it on our Discord later today. We have the credentials set up, so we've captured everybody who's been in this space, and we're just finalizing the design, and we're going to launch it later today, so you can claim it.
Okay, super cool. Yeah, I extended the space by 3 minutes just to make sure that people hit that 15.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, all right, cool, guys. Thanks so much, and be sure to join their Discord if you want that NFT. It'll only be a couple cents, and always be nice to look at your wall and be like, in 5 years from now, when we see even more layer 2 adoption, you'll look back and be like, hey, I was in the trenches. I was in that spaces on that Thursday morning. So,
exactly, love it.
Cool. All right, guys.
And when Arbitrum is the biggest L2 in the world, and Layer 2 DAO is the biggest DAO in the world, the single NFT might actually be worth something. Who knows?
You might sell it then. Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Awesome.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye-bye.